As Dave Bautista battles the zombie invasion in the shadows of Las Vegas in Army of the Dead this Friday on Netflix, the WWE stars battle in the shadow of WrestleMania at the Thunderdome. The pressure of victory weighs heavy, like the pressure on Dave Bautista battling the zombies in Army of the Dead this Friday on Netflix. Dave Bautista's Army of the Dead this Friday on Netflix. This is WrestleMania Backlash 2021 Graded. Sponsored by Snickers, probably. Two notable things go down on the Kickoff show. Dom gets battered by the Dirty Dogs. Is he going to be in his dirtiest corner for the tag title match? I guess we'll find out later. And Sheamus throws out another open challenge, answered by Ricochet in his going out clothes. I think he forgot his PE kit. Quick flurry from Ricky to get us started with a drop kick off the bell, but Sheamus eventually slows him down with slow, aggressive offense. We get another boost by Ricochet with springboard clothesline, and a lion salt gets a near fall. Also gets a 2 count off a gorgeous springboard 450. However, he misses a 630 and eats a running knee from Sheamus to fall 1, 2, 3. Sheamus beats him, gets on the mic to gloat afterwards, but Ricky's back up. He knocks him out of the ring and takes his fedora and his big coat and goes, "Look at me, I'm Sheamus." Do-ba-do-do-do-do-do. Sheamus is livid, so Ricky throws his clothes at him and runs off. That's the match. Here's a B. It was some good stuff in here. Fun little opener. I'd like to think this is the start of them doing something with Ricochet, but I doubt it. We kick off with the Raw Women's Championship match. It's Rhea Ripley putting it on the line against Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Charlotte gets double teamed early on, leaving Asuka and Ripley to fight it out. Flair is not down for long though. She gets back into this one, ends up giving Rhea Ripley and Asuka separate bespoke shoeings, which is kind of her. We get some really intense three-way stuff quite late into this match. We also see Charlotte landing a moonsault to the outside of the ring. We see a double superplex from Ripley and Asuka onto Charlotte. We see Charlotte rally from this and hit a double natural selection. She tries to cover them both, but they both kick out. The end of this one comes with Charlotte and Asuka going back and forth, with Asuka going for the Asuka lock on Charlotte. Charlotte trying to get that figure 8 in. Charlotte ends up outside the ring on the apron. She boots Asuka through the rope, and Asuka stumbles backwards into a riptide for the 1, 2, 3. Why didn't Charlotte break the cover? Apparently, she tumbled off the apron. We just didn't see it. Post-match, Ripley stands on the apron, looks down at Charlotte, her opponent that stole the title from her at WrestleMania, that opponent that she's been chasing for a year, a lot of bad blood, and goes, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." Can you imagine Austin doing that to The Rock? All that aside, this was a B+. High energy here. I thought there was some really good bits in this one. Nice way to open the show as well. Charlotte very protected in this match, which leads me to think that we're getting Ripley versus Charlotte. Probably at Hell in a Cell. Maybe they'll hold off to SummerSlam. I don't know. The SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line. The Dirty Dogs versus Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio. Whoa, Dominik got beaten up on the pre-show. So it's just Rey out in old school Batman themed attire. I like this a lot. Rey white hot off the bat on this one. Really takes both Ziggler and Roode to town for a good while. However, the numbers game eventually catches up with him and we see a prolonged beatdown of Rey Mysterio. One of the absolute best is Rey at this sympathetic babyface malarkey. Like, he's so good at generating that heat, just coming back just enough and then just having it stripped away from him. And this is the story of the match, and it's incredibly engaging. Dominik heads down to the ring, clutching his injured body, and makes his way onto the apron and reaches for the tag. He's there for his dada. Dad eventually tags son, and Dominik charges into the ring, almost immediately gets a spine buster from Robert Roode and shut right down. We see Dominik survive, manage to get the tag to his dad, who, very much like Son, immediately gets shut down by Robert Roode off a hot tag. Like, oh, this is, like, they're ramping this up, and it finally reaches the point in this final flurry where Ray hits a 619 on Robert Roode, dives to the outside to take out Ziggler, and in the ring, Dominik's there. Up top, a gorgeous frog splash, lands on Roode. 1, 2, 3. We have brand new tag team champions, and it's the father and son combo of Ray and Dominik Mysterio. I'm the best dad. No, I'm the best son. First time ever. Well done, lads. This was actually an A for me. I thought this was a really great story that they told from beginning to end. Ray is great at the sympathy. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler are a cracking act as a tag team, and I hope this isn't the end for them. And a real feel-good moment, father and son. When I was Dominik's age, I probably would have gone for a pint and played snooker with my dad. Imagine becoming a tag team champion with your dad. Haha, what fun. This was a great night. It's all going well. Oh, Lumberjack Match. Right, okay. You've seen this by now, I reckon. You know what the crack is here. So, throughout the night, we have had very aggressive advertising for Army of the Dead this Friday on Netflix, starring Dave Bautista. They wove it into the opening video package, which, I like the idea of it. I don't think it's scanned, in my opinion. We also had John Morrison backstage walking into a locker room and being confronted by a whole horde of zombies who are roaming the backstage area. Turns out the zombies are the Lumberjacks for this match. So once the competitors have entered the ring, the zombies come out. Now what they do, right, away from what all this was, how they did this, I thought it was really good presentation-wise. All the Thunderdome cameras go out, and it's replaced with like this burnt-out city skyline, like in Dave Bautista's Army of the Dead. And they have the zombies just all around the ringside area. Very good of the zombies to know the rules of a lumberjack match and not get into the match until the end. It's good, that. In amongst all this noise, there is a wrestling match of some consequence between Miz and Damian Priest. They do fine. They end up brawling with the undead for a bit. John Morrison runs in to try and help the Miz. He ends up hitting the zombies with some parkour stuff before getting dragged behind the barricade by a couple of zombies. This leads Miz to get distracted, and we see Priest hit the lights for the 1, 2, 3. Priest legs it, leaving Miz to get presumably eaten by zombies. And then, just in case you weren't sure what all this was about, Damian Priest stands on the ramp, pulls his pretend bow and arrow, ba-doing, into the trot at the top, which says, Army of the Dead. I know writers that use subtext, and they're all cowards. I'm not grading this. This was a commercial that just happened to feature wrestling. This would be like putting a wrestling ring in a Geico ad. This really well put together. The actual. If I was going to put on a wrestling match that featured zombies outside of that cracker in Discovery Wrestling that G Money and Sugar Dunkerton had, by the way, check that out, thank you and please, I would probably go to WWE because the production values are excellent for it. But this, and I think this is a turning point now. From here, the show kind of twists, but up until now, this has felt like a wrestling show that has been suffocated by commercial consideration. Like this, after every match we're getting hit with adverts for Peacock and for apps and stuff like that. It feels really heavy, like the advertising on this show. Now I get it, we all gotta make dollar, but this isn't a company on its backside. This is a company that is making money despite itself right now. And I think you could probably get away with, doing slightly less, turning it down a little bit. If you're gonna have a zombie lumberjack match, this is probably the best zombie lumberjack match in the WWE outside of the one I mentioned, which is outside the WWE. Yeah, I'm not grading it. Wrestling! The SmackDown Women's Championship is on the line next. Bayley challenging Bianca Belair for the belt. A slow build wrestling match here with Bayley getting the upper hand when she's grabbing Belair's earring, the thing that she did on SmackDown. This tips the scales in the favour of the challenger. Bayley hits a front suplex onto the steel steps, and Belair is on the back foot for a big part of this. There's a really nice spot, actually, where Belair, it's a real simple, Belair is down, Bayley goes for a cover, and Belair powers up and sends Bayley crashing out of the ring, like the super strong-est kick out. It was a nice little move. Belair snaps when Bayley starts mocking her. She ends up throwing Bayley across the ring, back and forth and back and forth. Bayley sneaks back into this match, hits a diving elbow for a near fall, misses a dive outside that gives the champ another opening. We see Bayley, however, get 2 rope-assisted near falls and uses an eye rake. She's in proper heel mode tonight, is Pam. Doesn't quite get the job done. There's a great bit after all of this where Bayley uses Bianca Belair's hair as a ripcord into the Bayley to belly for a near fall. A second attempt to use the hair in a finish results in Belair reversing the momentum and using her own hair to pull back on a roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. And like that, Bianca Belair has retained her SmackDown Women's Championship. This was a B+. Some really great heel work from Bayley in this one and some solid graft by both. They are clearly keeping this one ticking over for another month or so. Maybe, I saw a few people mention it online, maybe a hair versus hair match is down the road for this one. I'm just now envisioning in about 4 weeks' time of us watching as Pam gets her head shaved bald as she screams and cries, and sponsored by Snickers, probably. The WWE Championship match is next. Bobby Lashley putting it on the line against Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. And ho-ho! This is a beefy boy battle that I very much enjoyed. So, Drew and Bobby land a stalling suplex on Braun Strowman early on in this one to great effect. Braun comes back from this, of course, with a senton off the apron. Like a somersault senton. Nearly breaks his flipping head. He's all right, though. He's fine. This is a real heavyweight battle, though. We see Drew and Bobby taking the fight up the ramp for a little while. After Braun has been dominant for the longest of times, we eventually see Drew and Lashley square off. We see Drew hurl Lashley through the LED boards, and sparks fly everywhere. Bashley might be dead, but the match carries on because there's no disqualifications. Braun and Drew go back at it in the ring. Drew shocks the world here, one-upping Bobby Lashley, who earlier in this match hit a one-arm spine buster on Braun. Drew said, I can do better. Michinoku driver onto Braun Strowman. Why not? Near fall. That looked cool. Braun gets revenge by powerbombing McIntyre through the announce table. A heavy powerbomb from our boy Braun here. Somehow, though, Drew's able to get back into this one. As Braun throws him back into the ring, Drew's able to dig down deep. He lands a claymore, but before he can make the cover, Bashley's back from the dead. Out you go, Drew. Spear onto Braun. 1, 2, 3. Bobby Lashley, still your WWE champion. Giving this an A. A powerful, well-executed triple threat match. If you like your matches which feature big, beefy boys battering each other, this is gonna be in your wheelhouse. So we come to the main event. Cesaro versus Roman Reigns. Let's drink that in. Cesaro is in the main event of a pay-per-view. That is a chef's kiss. And that is for the fact that Cesaro is in a main event of a pay-per-view. There's been some conflict between the Usos throughout the night. Jimmy and Jay have had back and forths, and Jimmy's refusing to play along with this head of the table shenanigan. Roman and Paul head out alone. Jay hangs back for this. Cesaro's first pay-per-view main event is a belter, you'll be surprised to hear. He flusters Roman early on when he gets the upper hand. He even gets the first big move of the match with a springboard uppercut. Reigns manages to avoid a big swing, though, and despite the fact that he's Roman Reigns. Cesaro's got his number early on. Pop-up uppercut. Corkscrew plancher to the outside. Cesaro firmly in control. Roman manages to find an opening though. He ends up working over Cesaro's arm and shoulder. And this is where Roman's really good, where he's able just to isolate that body part and really make it meaningful. And he wears down that arm of Cesaro. And this is where Cesaro is great, because he keeps on coming back in this, but the arm he's injured is his uppercut arm, and he's still going to the uppercut, but you can tell every time he does it, it's absolutely killing him. He lands a discus lariat out of desperation onto Roman Reigns, and he is just in agony after hitting it. I don't mind wrestlers using the injured arm in a match, as long as they're selling it immediately afterwards. Like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. And Cesaro is just excellent at this, Cesaro gets a near fall off a beauty of a superplex into the ring from the apron. He goes for a springboard shortly after this, but he's met in midair by a Superman punch that lands flush for a near fall. He dodges a spear, but his arm buckles when he goes for that pop-up uppercut, and this gives Roman an opening to put the front face lock on nice and tight. Cesaro powers out though, gets a sharpshooter in just about, and then transfers into a crossface, but can't quite finish off Roman Reigns. Reigns hits a deadlift powerbomb to get back into this one. Cesaro once again gets put in that front face lock. He tries to get out of it, and it looks as if he's gonna, but Roman just sinks in way too deep. And after a heck of a battle, Cesaro passes out. The referee throws the match and awards the match to Roman Reigns. There's a bit when Roman's released the hold that Cesaro almost wakes up. Like, he suddenly wakes up and realizes, oh, what, I've lost. For goodness sake. Out comes Jey Uso, and he said, oh, can I beat him up for a bit, please? Please, Roman, head at the table. And Roman goes, yeah, I've had it, you little scallywag. So Jay's beating him up for a little bit. Seth Rollins' music hits. Seth Rollins comes out in a gorgeous suit, sizes up Roman Reigns, and we think, oh, hello, a little bit of a shield thing. To which then Seth goes, I've just come to beat up Cesaro as well. And Roman leaves, Jey leaves, and Rollins is battering Cesaro, grabs a steel chair, clatters him multiple times, wraps the steel chair around his arm, and throws his arm into the steel post. Quite nice that, not long after we watch the Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring, we get a modified Pillmanizing to end a pay-per-view. Ends with Cesaro in agony, and Rollins looking brilliant, having curb stomped Cesaro's brains on the outside. Wow. So, I think this one, A+ for me. This was match of the night. Easily match of the night. Cesaro absolutely shone in this match. Roman shone him up as well. Roman looked great. Cesaro looked great. They told some wonderful stories throughout. Brutal beating by Rollins at the end of the match as well. I don't know whether or not that was the right way to end the pay-per-view, kind of transitioning Cesaro back to the feud he was in before. But regardless, the actual match itself was excellent. The best part of the night. Lovely work from both. Here's to more main events with Cesaro in. Please. He's done it now. Let's do more. Loads of great wrestling matches on this show, but I'm going to surprise you, and I'm not going to give this show an A. I'm actually going to give this show a B-. Okay, let me explain my thinking here. The wrestling was great, without a shadow of a doubt, but I feel like this show was suffocated by commercialism. It truly, truly was. More so than I think I've ever known it. Like, the first half of the show especially, just this emphasis on Army of the Dead starring Dave Bautista this Friday on Netflix, and just the sheer amount of all that going on, and it felt too heavy, and I think it took away some of my disbelief. It's just my disbelief wasn't suspended with the sheer amount they had going on in terms of capitalism wise. Again, I'm not saying you can't make money, but this is a company that's making money hand over fist right now. And to do a show which kind of feels like an infomercial with really good wrestling on, I think you're limiting yourself to what you can do. I feel really bad for the wrestlers on this show who absolutely went for it tonight and kind of got drowned out by a lot of other external noise throughout, Hell in a Cell coming up in June. Don't be surprised if they call it Pringles Spicy Hot presents Hell in a Cell. And Snickers, maybe. I feel like that's the direction we're kind of going in here. Just my thoughts. WTF moments for Ross. We'll no doubt have more thoughts a little bit later on. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.